Testing. Coming in. Testing. Testing. Okay.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In conformance with the Open Public Meeting Law, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this meeting setting forth the time, date, place, and purpose of this regular meeting through notice posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, mailed to all have requested and paid for same, and published in the Suburban Trends. Roll call, please.
Mayor Sir.
Here.
Council President Wright.
Yes, here.
Councilman Bay.
Here.
Councilman Durango.
Here.
Councilman Devine.
Here.
Councilman Japanetta.
Here.
Councilman Bennett.
Here.
With us this evening is our Borough Attorney Joseph Ragnar.
Okay, we're going to start off with a nice presentation that we have here, and I think my Girl Scouts are going to help me do this today. Okay, so today we have a nice presentation for Mallory's Army, the Blue Out of Bullying Day, which has started in this town, and I know our Girl Scouts have got behind it. We all know that bullying has become a real issue and a problem, not just in our state, but in our country, and it's finally reaching to the point where it's unacceptable in any shape or form at this point. So with that being said, we're going to do a proclamation supporting that idea, and start it again.
Just call the girls and now it's not Diana.
Oh, I'm sorry. Come on. I don't know. Please step up. This is Mallory's mom. I'm sure everybody knows Diane that actually started the process. Why don't you say a couple words?
Sure. My name's Diane, and my daughter is, I'm sorry, I just see all this, and I'm just so thankful and touched by the outpouring. Those of you who don't know, my daughter Mallory Grossman took her life on June 14th, so just under 4 months ago. I have lived my life with the philosophy of it doesn't matter what happens to you, but it's what you do that matters. Days after Mallory died, we, friends of ours, put together something called Mallory's Army. It is an awareness 501c3 charitable foundation, completely grassroots and self-funded. We go out and talk to schools. We talk to basically anybody that'll talk to us and share Mallory's story, and more importantly, share her life. And it was through this, my friend Sharon, who we've been friends for several years now, she came up with the idea of talking to her Girl Scouts. And nothing means more to me than these children. This is what it's about. I can tell you all day long how important Mallory's life is and how important our foundation is. But it's these children that buy in that will make a difference. We, as adults, will start the revolution. These girls will be the ones that will continue it. You can follow us at Mallory's Army. We have a Facebook page where we share our story and the progress that we're making, along with Mallory'sArmy.org. And I sincerely appreciate all of your support.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
They have their own papers. Last one? But I have the girl who's going to actually come over here, though, because it's so we can hear her. That's as far as it goes. All right, we'll do it this way. Okay.
Whereas Mallory Grossman was a 12-year-old girl from Rockaway, New Jersey, who was a daughter, sister, and a friend to many. And whereas Mallory lost her battle to bullying on June 14, 2017, and
Whereas Mallory enjoyed helping people by making bracelets and crafts and donating her profits to Camp Good Days, a camp for children touched by cancer, and
Whereas Mallory's Army was established to bring awareness to behavior, change hearts, and add empathy, and whereas the humiliation, exclusion, intimidation, and teasing of others caused helplessness, sadness, and change who you are, and whereas cyberbullying should not be light-hearted, smiley-face, LOL, or share, and
Whereas Girl Scout Troop 95383 will always say you can sit with us, and
whereas we may not always be able to stop a bully, however, we can reach out to someone being bullied so they don't feel so alone, and whereas Girl Scout Troop 95383 will spread awareness about Mallory's Army to all the Pompton Lakes schools in our entire community, and whereas on the third Wednesday of each month, the students of Pompton Lakes schools will lead the community to Blue Out Bullying, and whereas Mallory's Army Foundation is a 501c3 charitable organization named as an army that stands prepared to battle bullying but prefers resolution, and
Stay there, girls. Now therefore I, Michael Serra, Mayor of the Borough of Pompton Lakes, County of Passaic, New Jersey, commend Girl Scout Troop 95383 and recognize their efforts on Mallory's Army, and further recognize the third Wednesday of every month on Mallory's Army Blue Out Bullying Day, October 11, 2017. Michael Serra, Mayor of Pompton Lakes. Girls, you should all be proud of the fact that you're taking this on, okay? As it was said in the beginning, you're the future of this, of making this work or not work. So it's going to be your idea that you bring forward to your friends and to your schools and everywhere you go to make sure they understand what's going on. So I applaud you for everything you're doing. You should be proud of yourselves for what you did. So thank you for coming. Okay, we're going to start our regular meeting. Who does not want to stay for the regular meeting may leave. This is your last chance. Katie, run out of here.
Didn't go unnoticed.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Darren.
Yeah, you're right to the ladies.
Continue on? Okay. Okay, can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments? So moved. Okay, we'll move it, yeah. So moved, Councilman Bennett?
Second.
Councilman Begg, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Just slide that over there, yeah. Anyone from the public like to address the council? Step up, please. Okay, it's good.
Caught me off guard, that was so fast.
See? We moved here.
I just want to say that that was a great presentation.
Yep,
It's a great thing
very
that
nice.
the Girl Scout troop is doing. And it's a pleasure to see those kids doing something like that. It really is. I just wanted to say that I wanted to thank someone here. I've been talking about it for 8 months on Willard Ave and that gas main and that dip in the road. PSE&G was there fixing it. I don't know who to thank.
We made some calls.
I didn't even get a chance to call. I mean, somebody here.
We spoke to PSE&G a couple spots. There's still
Right.
2 more spots we'd like them to address. But at least they're coming when we ask, which is a good thing.
Yeah, which is it's a great thing.
There's still the one on Ringwood outside the White Church.
And they're supposed to come back, there's another machine that they said, that they heat up the asphalt and make it all as to one. I've never heard of that process.
I don't know about that.
They said they'll be back to do that also. So I want to thank, who,
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Please step up.
My name is Gregory Wayne Calcafer, 26 Albert Street, Pompton Lakes, New Jersey. I read in the trends that the town is continuing with the relationship with WGHT in some way.
Yes.
The voice of our children and the voice of our people are the future of this town. And as a matter of fact, the Constitution says we have the right to gather and the right to free speech. Free speech with responsibility is a very powerful thing, Mayor and Council. To say that you're going to do one thing and then do another, but to say and do the same thing is a very powerful thing. And that radio station can be used in such manner by all the town, all the people in this town, not only the adults, but the kids too. After all, they are our future. But we adults are also the future of this town. And that's all I want to say about this. Plus, I said in my report that I gave to like a year ago that a radio station would be part of this. I think somebody upstairs wants it to happen, but on his time schedule, not mine.
Thank you. Yes, we are still in talks about the donation of the property of the radio station to us. There's still some steps involved. We don't know where we're going with that, but we are in that process. Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session?
So moved.
Councilman Brennan?
second.
Councilman Devine, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Approval of minutes. Motion to approve the following minutes. Regular meeting minutes of September 27th, 2017. Motion.
So moved.
Councilman Giaconetti.
Second.
Councilman Bennett, all in favor?
There's a correction needed to be made, Liz. It's on the open public comment, it's Felicia Farber, F-A-R-B-E-R,
Okay.
On the, what are we doing?
on the open public
I know
comments on the minutes.
I know.
You got it?
I will take care of that.
Okay.
Okay, where was I? I had a
So I'll
motion.
amend my motion to make the correction first,
Okay.
and then Councilman Bennett will.
Who was second? Who was the
All right.
second? Councilman Bennett, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Present, we have a present. Councilman Devine. Against, and we have one present. Bills and claims, motion to approve the following bill list as listed below. Motion. So, Councilman Bay,
Second.
Council President Riker, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Petitions we have done, consent agenda.
Does anyone wish to have any poll?
No.
Whereas the mayor and council of the borough of Pompton Lakes has reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions, and whereas the mayor and council of the borough of Pompton Lakes does not desire to remove resolutions for individual action from that agenda, now therefore be it resolved that the following resolutions on the consent agenda are hereby approved. Resolution 17-177 through 17-184.
Can I have a motion, please? So moved, Mayor. Councilman Blanco.
Second.
Councilman Bennett. Roll call, please. Oh, all in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye. Against? Resolutions for separate action. We have none.
No ordinance.
No ordinances, ordinances for second reading and final adoption.
There are none.
We don't have anything else, look at that.
There's nothing.
We're moving right along, Tony. Yeah. How about that? Okay, under my report, Well, first off, let's start with the Girl Scouts coming in. You know, it's always great to see our Girl Scouts or our youth be involved in something that's important in town and important around. So I always give them credit to take time out of their day. They're very busy, and we all know that those at that age are doing many different things, but to spend the time and energy in handling that, it's a big deal. And I take it personal that they wanted to come here and make that presentation. So I thank them for coming, and I think it's a great organization that they're involved with. Going up to the radio station, since it came up, there's a lot of talk about the radio station, and I think there's some misinformation out there, so I want to make sure it's straight. The radio station is being donated to the town. We are not purchasing the radio station in any shape or form. There are services that we have to do when we're getting a donation, which require permitting and our due diligence to check out the property. There will be some costs involved there, but there is a value to the property itself. It's about 4.5 acres that they're donating to us. We have not decided what we're doing with the property. If I could get other organizations to help us and take over and run a radio station, we would gladly entertain that idea. But I have to remind everyone, the town itself will not be running a radio station by itself. Okay, we are not in the business of running a radio station. We're hoping there's a lot of other groups that would want to be involved with us. The school has showed interest. We're going to reach out to some local colleges. Even the county has showed some interest. So, you know, we feel that the radio station is a very valuable thing here. For many years, it's been very valuable in our town. We'd hate to see it go. So anything we can do, along with these other groups, to make it work, we're behind it. But at the end of the day, the town will not be running a radio station by itself. So there's some confusion there, and it is a donation property. I attended a Steak and Shops for one of our principals over at Lennox School, who's been there, I think, Lincoln School, I'm sorry. 39 years he's been the principal over at Lincoln School. So it's a long time. He's still well loved. There was a lot of people there supporting him. It was a nice event. And, you know, he has kids coming back with their kids now to say hello to him. So that's pretty impressive as a principal, and it just shows the kind of community we have here in Pompton Lakes, where one, he wants to stay in Pompton Lakes for 40 years and work, and two, the community is back there to support him. So that's a nice thing to see. I also attended a redevelopment agency meeting, with some new developers that are interested in town. There's been a lot of talk about redevelopment in the redevelopment community about our town. So the word is out that we're looking to change our look downtown a little bit. So it's bringing in a lot of prospective people looking to make changes. These things take time, and I always have to remind, there was a lot of talk in the last couple of days again about redevelopment. Remember, we do this for the pilot, which is payment in lieu of taxes. That means that 90 to 95% of the improvements done on a project stay here with the town. They don't go to the county. The schools are always made whole first. So whatever their budget is, we pay that budget, and then the improvements we keep. So some of those projects, most of those can range between 20 and 30 years they pay that pilot program on. With that being, a bigger project could bring in $400,000 or $500,000 a year to the community over 30 years. Okay, that's a big difference. We don't have an industrial park in this town. We all know our taxes are too high in this town. I think this council has done a great job in keeping the numbers low and keeping the services where we are. We haven't cut any services, but the cost of just doing regular business in town, insurance, healthcare, they go up every year, and we still have to make up the difference there. So this is a means that we can use to take some funds when we need to buy a garbage truck, to purchase a police officer, things like that, so we're not asking the taxpayers. That's why it's so important for our towns to bring in redevelopment. On the other side of it, it will also revitalize our downtown. Downtowns are a dying breed in general in New Jersey right now. You know, most people are shopping on the big highways and in the big box stores, and you go to any town around, they're having issues with their downtown. So this is another way that we can keep our downtown moving forward. So there is a lot of interest from people outside, and I'm happy to see that. We have a very strong redevelopment agency running the group for us. And if you're interested in their meetings, they're the third Thursday of every month. They're open to the public. You're more than welcome to come in and listen to the projects. You're allowed to ask questions as a resident or any concerns you have. I know some of the concerns and questions are about parking, and parking is the number one thing on my list. I want to make sure that anything we build, there is enough parking to move forward. Okay, that's my report. Council, yes.
You talked about the ribbon cutting you were part of.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, I thought Eck was gonna bring it up, but I will
Yeah, you can bring it
bring
up.
that up. I can bring it up too?
I'm sure.
Again, with the, this was the Brownies or Girl Scouts?
Girl Scout Junior Troop,
Girl Scout Junior Troop,
96380.
9680. They need to get shorter numbers first. So they did something new to our town and put in a a shared library box where it's down at Hirschfield Park, right at the entrance to the playground area, where it's an open book. You can put a book in and take it out anytime you want to read. So if you're you're at the playground and your kids want to take a book out and read it, they can go to this box that was installed by the Girl Scouts, take it out, read it, and then put it back in. I think there's even adult books in there, is that correct? There are adult books in there, so it's a way to share and get people out and reading on a beautiful day out in the park. If you're walking around, you'll see it right at the entrance to the park, and I thank them, and I'm sure Councilman Bennett will bring up more about that.
Yes.
Now, Council President.
Okay. To clarify, it's not an adult bookstore, that's what
I don't think I said that, but maybe I did.
Being October, this is the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I usually come to the council bearing a copy of the Paint the Town Pink flyer. That's where restaurants primarily and other businesses pledge money to the Chilton Breast Center. And the reason I particularly bring it to your attention is we always have nice support from some of our Pompton Lakes businesses, and I want to draw that especially to your attention. Monica's has been a supporter for many years and continues to be a supporter. And on the other side of the flyer, there are certain restaurants that have certain designated nights, and our Wendy's is next Wednesday evening between noon and 8 p.m. A percentage of all proceeds from that day will be donated to the breast center. So I want to thank those business establishments for continuing, and I want to encourage everybody to go out and support these restaurants. Last night in town, we had a highly spirited candidates night, and I really want to applaud the candidates for sharing their ideas and doing it in a very civil and professional way. And so there were many people at the high school, and those of you who weren't at the high school, I think it will ultimately be broadcast once the tape is brought to our attention. Several members of the borough staff have brought to my attention that there's a new facility. It's new to Pompton, but not new to the area. It's the Highlands Family Success Center, and I think, Liz, you gave everybody copies. And there's copies for the public over there. Just wanted to bring it to your attention that it's an interesting establishment. It's funded by the state, but run by the county. And they've existed in West Milford, and they're coming down to Pompton Lakes. They are offering ESL courses. They will add computer courses, knitting courses, some basic finance courses, and it's really family success, certain skills that families may need. It's open to everyone, and I just wanted to put that on your radar screen because that's brand new. The other thing is also in terms of the county providing some services that are relatively close to us without us having to go way up county or way down into Patterson. This Senior Pathways has a couple of very interesting programs coming up. There's memory screenings, there's all sorts of educational courses on picking Medicare. So the Senior Pathways is something that I would encourage people, if there are especially seniors in your life, this is something that really has some programs, and they're right in Totowa, so you don't have to go all the way down to Patterson. And lastly, we have our annual river cleanup coming up before in the next couple of weeks. And just mark your calendars, that's Sunday, October 29th at the Hirschfield Park, and that will be from 10 to noon. So we always get a good crowd for that, and I encourage, it's a lot of fun. It's amazing what you find on the pickup, but it's a lot of fun, so I encourage you to mark your calendars. Mayor Messner.
And I think that river cleanup's an important part. You know, if you live in town, you want to keep your own town looking good. So, you know, it's all volunteer, and the residents do come out, and like I said, they pull a lot of garbage out of places you'd never think there was a lot of garbage there for. So it's an important event. With that, I should also mention that we have the car show. It's been rescheduled for this Sunday, starting at, I think, 10:30. Wanacue Avenue will be closed for most of the day, so make plans accordingly. It's a nice day. Come out, take a look at the cars. Councilman Giaconetti.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to bring up and commend Mallory's mom and the Girl Scouts, Sharon, Sonny, and everybody involved with that. Only 4 months ago, I mean, I was ready to break down myself now, but having a daughter and to see, what this family went through, and the kids that know her, and at a tragedy, how you can turn it around and do something positive, and in a memory of her daughter, I think is wonderful and very spirited, and I give them a lot of credit. And I tell you, I really do. On a lighter note, this week is National Fire Prevention Week. All right, and it's for all schools, K through 3, so Lincoln, Lenox, and St. Mary's. All right, everybody's going to be getting their commemorative hat, junior fireman hat.
That doesn't fit on your head.
And a water bottle. I apologize for not fitting, but it's Fire Prevention Week. And I do want to mention, all right, I want to give these tips, it's very good tips. Fire safety rules for life, for everybody to remember, young and old. Test smoke alarms once a month. Know 2 ways out of every room. Plan and practice exit drills with you and your family. Get out, stay out of a building, of a fire building, a fire or a house on fire. All right, I know a lot of times you want to go back and save the animals and everything else, but remember that, get out and stay out. All right? So there's little tips there. Just wanted to bring a little light to that.
And let's not forget, we just had a house and a half burned down just in less than a month ago.
Exactly, right,
It's important.
exactly. And listen, speaking of that, I did attend, I know several of you did, I attended the taco night at the Elks, and they raised a lot of funds for the borough and the Battle family. It was very good, and I commend everybody, Jennifer, everybody, Joe, that sponsored that and put that forward. Props to them. I was honored to be at the Steak and Chops, the Rotary. They honored Lou Shadiak. Now, this is going back. Lou Shadiak, first year or two, was my teacher, science teacher in Lakeside School.
You're old.
So he's still there. So it was good to see him. He was happy to see me. And listen, it was a great honor. He's a good man and well deserved. I also attended the Pompton Lakes Riverdale Youth Organization beefsteak event. Raised some funds for the kids down there at the Carlo Field and for the cheerleading squad and everything else. And it was a great event. I had a good time. Lastly, I just wanted to give props. I know Mayor Mike talked about it. I don't want to take thunder, but I do want to thank Councilman Ekman and Mike Faccetto. They were the ones that put together the free library, put the stake in the ground, put everything together, and I'm happy Mayor Mike came down there. Just wanted to know, Mayor Mike came down there, all of a sudden it started raining. But when I showed up, the sun came out. So it's a true story, all right? So I just wanted to put that on record. But 96380, the girls did a wonderful job. It was very spirited, a good time that day. And again, thank you to Mayor Mike Eck and Mike, a wonderful job you guys did and everything else. Thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Bennett.
So I had a pretty packed couple weeks since the last council meeting. I'll just touch on a couple of the highlights. Mayor Mike and Councilman Giaconetti mentioned the Little Free Library. So my daughter saw this concept mentioned on a episode of Curious George back when she was like 2 or 3 years old, and she mentioned to my wife that she'd like to do something like that at some point. So last year we were in Montana on vacation, and in Big Fork, Montana, they had a Little Free Library in downtown Big Fork. And my wife took some pictures, Lauren took some pictures, and she got the ball rolling with the then troop leader, Patricia. And then the girls fundraised. I didn't know the library was like $400. the kit, to build and everything, it was a fair amount of money. So they raised that money and did a really good job with it. One of the dads, Mike Foss, as he's known, helped put it together, and another mom, Dawn, painted it. And then I guess it was 2 weeks ago, we put the post in the ground with the concrete and everything. And then this past Sunday, we actually mounted the little free library, and the girls each put a couple books in. So it's a take a book, leave a book type concept. And if you have one, we had plenty of people walking by or jogging by asking if we were taking donations of books, and it's take it, or if you see it's starting to get empty, feel free to drop off a book. Lots of other stuff was mentioned already. The annual beefsteak of PLRYO, we had a great time with that. Raised some good funds. Steak and Chops, Principal Shadiak. Great evening. Had an awesome turnout. A lot of people were there. And it turns out I actually went to elementary school with his son, so it was nice to see his son do a little reminiscing. Let's see. Tech committee. So we talked about the monitors, and the AV vendor actually came in today, and we have some additional discussions with them. And a demo at the next tech committee meeting in November, first Thursday of the month. Talking about the Elks, had a fair amount of folks come out. That was a good fundraiser for the family. And just a couple things coming up. Saturday, October 21st is Autumn Fest at Pompton Reformed, and I believe that starts at 10 o'clock. It's the corner of Hamburg and Ringwood, Big White Church, and the PLRYO is having a pink out game over at Carlo Field that Saturday afternoon, so that's October 21st. Thank you.
You have a motion also.
Oh, yes, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve the request of St. Mary's Church to close one roadway travel lane of Hamburg Turnpike, Ringwood Avenue, and Wanacue Avenue from 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. on Sunday, December 10th, 2017, for the procession of the Virgin of Guadalupe. Passaic County freeholders, Hunter's Mark Agency, police, and fire departments have been notified.
Second it.
Councilman Jack-Letta, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? And one thing you might want to mention too, because you are the rec liaison, the Halloween hunt is coming up?
Yes,
Correct.
October 22nd.
October 22nd, which is a Sunday. They usually have it on a Sunday night. It's for anybody in town with children aged 1 to 6th grade. They'll get a free pumpkin. There's treats, there's games. It's open to all Pompton Lakes residents. It usually starts, go on the website or come to Town Hall. There's something on the bulletin board. I think it starts around 6 o'clock at Hirschfield Park. Okay. Councilman Day.
Thank you. I attended the Pompton Lakes Prevention Coalition meeting on September 28th. Jessica Michaely, Community Outreach Coordinator for the Passaic County Court, appointed Special Advocates, better known as CASA, spoke about her organization, which represents children in court. These are volunteers that represent children in need of court representation, and she's looking for volunteers if anyone's willing to do that. There's a little training in it, but it is a satisfying organization to work with children with. Erwin Brady spoke about the Hidden Plain Site program, which was presented at Back to School nights at Lakeside School and the Pompton Lakes High School. This was for parents, and basically what they were doing is showing, this is a drug prevention program, and it was showing where your child may hide things in their bedrooms and that, and where to locate them, and it was very successful. She also went on over the community survey, drug and alcohol survey that they were doing. It's still not complete. They're still looking for participants, for anyone that wants to go online and participate in that. They're looking for the community's outlook on drugs and alcohol and what can be done to prevent it. The survey seeks ways to combat the problem. Also mentioned was the Drug Education Forum to be held at the Municipal Building on November 30th at 7 p.m., sponsored by the Coalition and Chilton Hospital. I attended Pompton Lakes Board of Education meeting on October 3rd. Michael Petrella, Director of Curriculum, Instruction and Testing, gave a report on the park test results for the 2016-2017 school year. The conclusions of the report show Pompton Lakes students continue to perform above the state and other park consortium members in every grade level in English, language arts, and mathematics. One exception is the grade 8 mathematics, and there's possible reasons for that, and part of it is that a lot of the 8th graders in math are pulled out to, the better students are pulled out to enter the Algebra 1 program. It was reported that there was a presentation for parents of children for all grade levels titled Kind and Careful Online Communications. This program is to take place at the Lakeside School on November 6th at 7 p.m. and it's open to everyone in the community, and it has to do with bullying, which is part of what we had tonight with Mrs. Grossman's group here. This is also working towards anti-bullying program. I received the Pompton Lakes Riverdale report for the month of September 2017 from Chief Daniel Cantrell. There were 99 calls for the month of August, 40 in Pompton Lakes, 22 in Riverdale, 16 duty calls in Wanacue. There were 68 medical emergency calls, 8 trauma injury calls, 3 CPR calls, and 8 motor vehicle accident calls, 2 fire calls. I also attended the Steak and Chops for Rotary. I am a Rotary member, and Lou was a very good choice for the community as a recipient of the Leader of the Year. Lou's been with us a long time. I've known him for a long time. My students, my children didn't go to Lincoln School, but as I was on the Board of Education, I had a lot of contact with Lou. He's really a great principal and does a lot for the children. And congratulations to him.
Thank you. Okay.
Councilman Begg mentioned something about CASA, and I don't think CASA has ever been discussed here at this, on this dais. CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates. It's a program that started arguably 30 to 40 years ago. I was involved with the pilot program, wasn't living in this area. It was through the National Council of Jewish Women. And it was a program that identified that there are many children that are involved in the court system that need some special somebody in their lives. This CASA program has gone national. It is all over. It is very well entrenched. It's very, very successful. I have, my sister-in-law lives in Florida, and she is a CASA member, and she has certain children that have been assigned to her, and she has really gotten quite attached to the child, to the children that she's been involved in, to the point that going way above and beyond. Her husband's a dentist, and she got special permission from the judge to allow her husband to completely do this child's teeth, because these teeth were completely uncared for. And the bond that I've seen my sister-in-law and others get involved with the program, that in the event that someone has the time or the inclination, it is really a very well administered program, and thank you for bringing it to our attention.
And I was there too. It was a great presentation, and just what you said, she said really what you're getting out of it is your own personal experience with the children, good or bad or indifferent. But I think it's a very valuable program too. Every child deserves to have someone in their life to look up to or listen to or talk to. And if you don't have that, things can go wrong for you. So I think it's a nice program and an important program. Going back to Councilman Begg, What's the date of the drug, because,
November 30th
Yeah,
at 7.
November.
so November 30th at 7 PM here, they'll be doing a drug and alcohol program. It's really important for parents who are concerned if their kids are experimenting or doing drugs or drinking in schools or outside of schools to come to that event. There'll be a lot of good information there. I think there'll even be food, isn't that correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
I think it is going to be food too, and there'll be some high-level experts there explaining just what's going on, what signs to look for, and how kids go about doing things nowadays. You know, compared to what we thought about 30 years ago of how drugs were, it's 10 times harder for them right now. So I think it's a very worthwhile program, and I'm trying to get as many people as we can to show up to that event. Okay, Councilman Branco.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to start by echoing the sentiments of Councilman Giaconetta and Councilman Big as the father of two beautiful little girls. For Mrs. Grossman to turn the devastating event of losing her baby girl just 4 months ago into what we just saw with Mallory's Army and the Girl Scouts is a testament to the richness of her character, and I was floored. Just incredible fortitude that those people have. I did also attend the Candidates Forum last night, as Council President Riker stated. It was very professional, done by the League of Women Voters. It was very professional, and I am a believer in the public discourse in that fashion, and that was an example of how to do it. So I commend them for that. I have a very short report, Mayor. We had no zoning meeting between last meeting and this one. We had no MUA meeting between this one and last one. And if my borough calendar serves me correctly, next week starts leaf season, so we only have one garbage pickup per week, I believe.
Very important, yes.
And the second garbage pickup turns into a leaf and brush pickup. So, as your liaison to DPW and the two other agencies I just stated, that is the extent of my report.
Thank you, but I'm glad you brought that up. That is important to remind our residents about the leaf pickup. Remember, the garbage cans cannot be heavier than 35 pounds. I know there's sometimes residents try to use the big green garbage cans, like the landscaper type of cans, and they're left on the sides, especially with sticks or leaves. That's too big. There is an ordinance against that, so please try to use the right size. If you have a concern or question about why they didn't pick up your garbage, please call the DPW. They have a direct number, and there is someone on staff there that will pick up the phone and answer your question. Councilman Blind.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, just echoing some of the sentiments by the council regarding the Girl Scouts and Mallory's Army. And I know last week, the Pompton Lakes School District also had a week of respect. And along those same lines of Mallory's Army and anti-bullying and the need to, treat everyone with dignity and kindness. So it's good to see, our children learning that kind of thing at such an early age, because to be perfectly honest, I don't remember anything like that growing up. So, and unfortunately, we've sort of felt the effects of not teaching our children. So, I'm encouraged by that. The second thing along those lines is, I have to say, the Pledge of Allegiance never sounds better when kids are saying it. I mean, it's just the way they fill the room with it. It's just phenomenal, and I just did want to recognize that. Councilman Venon talked a little bit about the tech committee. I'll talk more about the tech committee, but in the last couple months, regarding the AVs and the TVs and changing the URL, which I'll discuss in a minute, Councilman Venon has really taken on a big leadership role in the tech committee. I know that was my original initiative, but it's important to recognize that ACK has really taken on a lot of different initiatives regarding that. And keeping that moving forward. To that effect, we do actually have a new website address for our municipal website. It's www.pomptonlakes-nj.gov. So it's a more official website. It's controlled by somebody in the government that hands out these websites. If you still use pomptonlakesgov.com, that's okay. It's going to continue to redirect to the site for a year, but the new address is that .gov address. So I just want to make people note of it. At some point, the old .com address will basically be dead, and they'll have to find the right address, but people have some time to get.
So say it again, what's the only difference? Just speak it.
It's, the difference is -nj.gov instead of the Pompton Lakes gov.com.
Say it in its entirety.
Okay, so it's Pompton Lakes. The new address is Pompton Lakes NJ-NJ.gov. The old address, it was PomptonLakesGov.com. No, there's... What's that? No, I'm good. You're good. Stop, he's distracting me.
Want to write it on the wall?
We're going to put it on the walls and so, I just want to bring that to people's attention. A couple weeks ago, the Flood Advisory Board met. They, discussed a lot of the work that's being done. Most people know about the Community Rating System, CRS program that allows Pompton Lakes residents that live in the flood hazard areas to receive a discount on their flood insurance. I think we're a level 5. 5, yeah. And it's not just as simple as we get to a level 5 and then we're done. We're good. Residents get a 25% discount. It's annually, it's semi-annually. It has to be constantly refreshed. There's audits. So Lauren Bennon, the chair of the Flood Advisory Board, Liz Brandness, Nick Agnoli, our CS coordinator, have worked really hard over the past few weeks, and I know they're continuing to work hard to meet these deadlines. And it's important to recognize that a lot of times when we talk about CRS, it's always been about, well, I brought the CRS coordinator in, or we've got the CRS program, it's really good for residents. It requires a lot of upkeep and a lot of maintenance and a lot of communication that, those 3 individuals, and there's Al Evangelist and many more, really put a lot of time into the process to provide that value to our residents. And, it's, unfortunate that we have the kind of community that we have living in that particular area, but the borough does work really hard for these residents to ensure that we get the maximum benefit that we can allowed by the federal government. The other thing was the rain garden workshop from a few weeks ago was very well attended, so much so that the Stormwater Management Committee that had worked on it, they didn't even hesitate. It's going to be provided again next fall. We're hoping it just continues to build because, again, it's another value to the residents, and not just what the borough can provide to the residents in terms of free technical assistance, but what the residents can provide to themselves by installing rain gardens to reduce runoff, especially in the areas where flooding can be exacerbated. And they'll also be doing their usual rain barrel workshop in the spring. There's no date for that set yet. However, just keep a lookout for that. Last night, the Lake Restoration Committee met. We announced that a few weeks ago. There's that Picture Pompton Lakes contest being sponsored by the Lake Restoration Committee. It's out to our schools to sort of provide the vision of the future of Pompton Lakes once the Addison Brook Delta remediation is complete. Just sort of envisioning, what Lakeside Park was, what the lake was, and what it can be in the future. They're giving away 3 Chromebooks at different grade levels, and I did want to bring up that they're interested in presenting the winner at the beginning of the December 13th council meeting, if that's all right. Said it would go very quickly.
Which council?
Liz? Yeah.
December 13th.
December 13th.
And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Okay, well, you just brought up flooding, and I'm just looking for it now. I did receive a letter from Congressman Freelandheisen saying he had heard we met with the DEP and would work with us in any way, shape, or form to work with FEMA to help us fight the maps. So he is aware of our fight. I guess the DEP reached out to him, and he is behind us and is willing to do anything he can from his office to help us.
Mayor?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'd be remiss. I forgot something in my report. Just wanted to make sure I mentioned it. I did also attend the Shade Tree Commission meeting. and there was a total of 70 hours altogether for the last month. And also a quick note, the fire department wanted me to thank Randy Hinton and the Shade Tree Commission for taking care of the trees in the back of the fire department, firehouse. They put a new generator in, and they wanted to clear some room, so wanted to thank them for doing that.
Okay, good. Okay, so here, I did find a letter, and it just says, "Dear Mayor, knowing of your deep concerns with the FEMA agency notifications and the flood maps, I'm writing to offer my assistance as you work on addressing your issues with the flood maps. Please reach out to me if anything I can do to help you move that along." So it's good to have somebody at that level helping us. There was just a correction. I know everyone talked about the debate last night. A lot of numbers were thrown out about houses bought out and things like that. I had it researched, and we've only had 46 houses taken down in our town, in our community. I know some people were saying 75 or 80 or whatever the number was. The official number is 46. That's where we stand. And remember, we did not pay to take those houses down. FEMA either paid to take those houses down or the state paid to take those houses down. So that there was no tax dollars used to do that. The rule is those houses have to go back to open space. They cannot be built on. They cannot be turned into anything else. They have to revert back to natural state. That is the rules from FEMA and from the DEP when those properties are taken down. Okay. Motion to open the meeting for public comment.
So moved.
Councilman Branco, Councilman Devine. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address? Mr. Hinton first, had his hand up first.
I look around and try to give somebody a little chance. But you're pretty quick sometimes, so I have to jump right up. Also attended the Rotary Steak and Chops dinner. It was an honor for Lou Shadyac, and it was a great presentation for him. Well deserved. And to give credit where credit is due, I also attended the little free library in the rain. I didn't have an umbrella. Ekin, the mayor was sharing one.
I had people holding umbrellas.
It's a good thing. But I want to give credit where due. I mean, Eck worked on that with other people involved in the Girl Scout troop 96380, and it's a great thing for the town.
It is.
So I want to give credit also. On October 18th, I did a Rutgers Environmental Stewardship course, and Dr. Amy Rowe has been to the town quite often, and I asked her to come to the library. She gives a tick talk, and she'll talk about tick diseases and ticks themselves, and that's going to be at the library at 7 o'clock on the 18th. After that, after she speaks, I'm going to talk a little bit about my gardening practices for anybody that wants to talk about gardening. So public's well invited, and we hope that a lot of people can attend.
I've heard through the grapevine that you give tomatoes to everybody, but I haven't gotten any.
Frank's got a few in his time. And,
They'll be against your window tonight.
Well, I did bring tomatoes to your little development, but they didn't get past Mr. Simone's house. So,
keep that in mind.
You're going to have to talk to him about that. Let's see, what else? I want to thank Eck and Frank also. We had the debate, and, we had a couple of differences, but we're supposed to have differences, and, but it was civil, and I really appreciate it. Millie was there, and it was a nice little debate. But we did talk about DuPont, and we did talk about writing letters, and you spoke at the DEP meeting, and so did Frank, and you talked about an insurance plan for those residents. Can we draft a resolution to DuPont? I mean, now's the time to do that.
Let's first see what comes out of the meeting. We have to get it. So let me explain how the meeting works. Now, a lot of people don't understand how that meeting is set up. That is set up by FEMA. That is not set up by us. And the meeting is set up to listen to what the concerns are and write them down and respond in writing to the residents. There is no setup and there is no mechanism in that meeting to respond back at that time at that
That was the
meeting.
DEP meeting.
No, I'm sorry, the DEP. At the DEP meeting. There was no mechanism set up for them to respond back. That meeting is going to be done. They're going to go over all the questions that were sent, they're going to answer each question or group the same questions together individually, then in writing, answer everyone back. I don't know if they'll individually send them out, but it'll probably be on their website or however. That's the process. That is how the process works. We can't change the process.
Right.
So we first need to see where they're coming from. The way I took that meeting, there was a lot of support in fact of an insurance policy, so let's hope the DEP was listening to that, and see where that goes first.
Okay, so until those answers come back.
Right, let's see where we are.
Hold off
Yes,
about sending any kind of resolution or anything.
that's my opinion. Now, that could be, other people could change their mind, but that's my opinion.
Okay. And pretty much that's the council's opinion.
You'd have to ask them now.
I just did.
No, you can't, you gotta speak to me now, you can't talk to the council. You'd have to grab them one another time and ask them.
All right, but like you guys said, they need protection, and they're going to try this new system.
Let's hope they listen.
They should get the
I
protection
didn't
before
hear,
the system...
at that meeting, I didn't see too many, or if anybody, stand up and say they don't need an insurance policy. So I would think the DEP is going to listen to that. They heard the mayor say that we should get it. They heard council people say they should get it. I think they'll listen to that, but I can't promise you anything.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Good.
Gregory Wayne Cockapher, 26 Albert Street, Pompton Lakes, New Jersey. I want to thank the town, especially the EMTs, and I know you rescued my father a few times out of his, and you were a policeman. And I want to thank the first responders for helping my mother. She has a sprained hip. She's home right now. She said I could go to this meeting. She says, go, I'll just exist. She sprained her hip and she was hospitalized because of it for about 12 hours. And I want to thank all the first responders of Pompton Lakes for their quickness and their response to not only this time, but every time Pompton Lakes has responded to my family's needs. You have excellent first responders, Mayor and Council. Excellent. And I know you helped many times.
Thank you, Gregory.
too.
Thank you, and we do have a great group of guys, and hope your mother's feeling better too.
Yes, tell her I hope she feels better, Gregory.
Anyone else from the public, please step up.
Joe Antontola, Walnut Street,
I need a number. Need a number of the address?
32. 32A. You just mentioned about the homes in the south end that were bought out, and you said it was FEMA and/or the state. Then can you explain to me why the town had to float several separate bonds totaling $7 million to buy out the southern homes out, and then FEMA was supposed to pay that back?
That's not correct. It wasn't $7 million, and that's the process that is set up by FEMA and the state. That is not our process. That is the way FEMA does business in the United States. They do not pick up the bill until we close out on the cases, and I know the attorney will speak a little bit about that. We have to physically close out on the case, make sure it was done correctly before we'll collect our money back. It's the process. It has nothing to do with the town, and it wasn't $7 million. I think it was $1.5 million.
We did, first off, the borough did not buy out 46 houses. There were 46 houses bought out.
That's
We
right.
bought out some of them. Some of them were bought out through Blue Acres, some were bought out through other agencies. I forget the exact number that the borough bought, but it was under 30. It was 20-something. And yes, we have to do the purchase, and then the way the federal government and the state governments work is they reimburse the municipality. Every property that was bought out has both a federal and a state deed restriction on them. They can never be anything again but open space.
Right, no, that part I understand, because when Mayor Cole was here, it first started off, it was a $1 million bond. Then the next year, it was a $2 million bond. And Kevin, in July, said the total was $7 million, and the town hasn't received any money back.
I can't tell you that. I don't believe that's the number, but...
It's a total, it was a total of $7 million over time, but we've gotten money
Yes,
back.
from all the bonds that you guys took out.
It's $1 million at a
to
shot,
buy it.
usually, that's out. Yes.
So raising the houses are a different bond
Yes, that's
altogether?
an entirely different process.
Totally separate, okay. You mentioned that you spoke at the meeting at the permit rule in reference to getting an insurance policy for the homes, for the horizontal well. The reason why DuPont/Chemours won't issue that is because the Plume residents, almost 300 property owners, got together with Whites and Luxembourg law firm in New York, and sued DuPont for the contamination. And in that lawsuit, 75 complaints were amended for faulty vapor intrusion systems that O'Brien and Gear installed on their homes.
Do you have that information in front of you to show me? I'm taking your word for that.
It's public record. You could look it up. The cases were heard in Bergen County.
Right, I'd
so
have
you
to
could
see that first.
Go right
I'd have
into
to see
that.
right.
So what transpired was, when it came up to that point, DuPont's attorneys turned around and said, we hired a contractor to design the systems. We hired a contractor to install the systems. We never touched any of the homes. DuPont walked away, and the contractors were hung. And the contractor who installed the systems filed bankruptcy. So the residents didn't get anything. But the issue was, DuPont walked away without a scratch, because their claim was, we hired a contractor for design and to install. They're doing the exact same thing in this situation. They're hiring an engineering firm to design the well and another company to install it. And it's on railroad property. It's not on town property. So they're going to say, we didn't do it. We had it done, and if it didn't work, then it was the engineering firm that caused the failure, or the installer who caused the failure. DuPont didn't put a hand on it. That's why they're not issuing a policy.
Well, that's not necessarily true. I've actually reached out to Chemours and asked them why they won't do a insurance policy, because I did call them. And I'm just going to tell you what they told me. I'm not going to say it's right or wrong. They're telling me there is no insurance company that will write the policy for them.
Yep.
And I suggested to them, maybe you want to put up a bond yourself as a company to cover the cost of it. And they didn't get back to me on that. But what I'm hearing is, and I also spoke to the DEP, that there is some concern of a group, there's nobody they can find that will write the insurance policy. And I don't know how true that is. This is what I hear.
Well, actually, Cheryl, our board member from the CAG, called 12 insurance companies, including Lords of London, and they said they won't write a policy because it's an installation that might cause the flooding. It's not natural, like a river overflowed or a heavy rainstorm and the basements filled up. It's from a mechanical operational well, and they said nobody will write a policy. So what you're hearing is probably...
Well, let's see what happens. Hopefully the DEP has the power to make them do that. If they don't, then we take the next step and see what we can do to make that happen. I can't do anything until DEP responds to the questions.
Now, in July, I spoke about...
We got about a minute left, so if you got something you want to say it.
In July, I spoke about solar panels on the school, and you said to talk to the Board of Education. So let's flip the coin on the other side. Why doesn't this municipal building and the firehouse have solar panels on to reduce the tax bill in electricity consumption? And also, if you have a generator failure during the day, the solar panels are a secondary backup.
We did look into it, and the solar companies told us it wasn't efficient to do it on a small site like this. Now, we didn't bring up the firehouse, we just spoke about our building. They even went in the school, even looked into it, I'm almost certain, and they said that they didn't have the right atmosphere and sunlight to get what they need for it to work.
Because I know the high schools in broad sunlight in Wayne, all their schools have solar.
They do. So that's something you want to bring up with them.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Please step up.
Dorothy Mancini, 40 Durham Street. I'm just a little concerned what you just said about Chemours saying that they can't get insurance. Well, doesn't that worry you? I mean, how is our property going to be protected?
Well, you got to remember, we don't have a say on this in any shape or form.
You mean our governing body
say.
has no say what happens in our town?
This is a DEP project and a FEMA project. I mean, a DEP and EPA project. We can make suggestions, we can tell them things, but they don't have to listen to anything we tell them. So that's why it's very important.
See, that concerns me that our town can't protect our residents.
But it's not just our town, that's how it's set up in any program they're doing with the DEP. The DEP works in many, many towns, and they are not going to listen to local government. They'll listen to what they have to say, but at the end of the day, they're going to make their decisions on their science and their suggestions of their experts. We here on this panel, there's no experts here involved.
So basically, we're a guinea pig. If this doesn't work out, if they can't get an insurance policy and they don't want to put up a bond, they can't be so sure of what they're doing is the correct thing.
Well, no, the DEP has the power to say, we don't care how you do it, but you will protect the residents.
But do you give them any influence?
They don't
And
take
have
it.
what the residents,
That's
because I
right.
was at that meeting, and I mean, a lot of people got up and spoke.
And that's why I got up and spoke, because I'm on record speaking. That's important that all the residents got up and spoke, because it's on record.
I just think it's like ridiculous that we're taxpayers in this town and we can't be protected.
Well, you say you can't be protected, but the DEP is there to protect you. That's
Well,
what their job is.
but what if, there's, listen, I read the newspaper every day. They don't always do the right things in other places. We all know that.
But that's your opinion. The DEP, if you were to tell them that, would, I think, disagree with you. They're not going to say, yes, we make, they're going to say, this is their project. So you understand, and I know you do, that the project is split into two areas. The EPA is in charge of one spot, and the DEP is in charge of the site itself.
Right.
So they kind of talk to each other, but they make independent decisions of each other. So the DEP might make a suggestion to the EPA. The EPA does not have to follow that, and vice versa. The EPA does not have to follow the
I mean,
DEP.
the DEP hasn't been at all the meetings.
And I
That
agree
was the
with you.
first
And I agree that they should
meeting.
be.
I've been at all those meetings.
And I think that, and that part I am pushing hard for my residents. And again, I've been doing that for a year now, speaking almost to the governor about it. And they tell me, yeah, but I haven't seen any representative yet. This last meeting, I was there again, and I spoke to all the gentlemen there, and I said, look, I appreciate you coming, and I appreciate everything you're doing, but I think my residents deserve a fact that they can talk to someone if they want to talk to somebody. And I would really appreciate you coming. The EPA has stepped to the plate, and it comes once a week. I'm not even asking you to come once a week. Once a month would be enough. They said, we'll get back, we're going to talk to our management, and we're going to get back to you. And
But
this is
it's
what-
very frustrating,
It's very-
because I
it's me
feel
too.
if they do this project, something goes wrong, what about all these families?
I agree, and that's why it's very important. Let's see what happens first from the
And I
DEP.
think, all our council people, whatever you can do, you should be doing. If you have to put pressure on them, I don't know what you have to do. But I think that our residents should be protected, because, I mean, we don't know. They have no studies, and they haven't even checked the water levels. I know the water levels in different parts of the town are different for everybody.
Well,
So, I
that's
mean,
it's
they
an
have,
interesting thing that you said there, because it comes out a lot. You have to put pressure. There's no real, that doesn't really mean anything. You have to put pressure on. What has to happen is the DEP has to feel from all areas that there's a concern there. And I think that was done at the meeting. I'm hoping
well,
that
I
they did
hope
listen.
you're right. I hope you're right, because, I mean, I happen to live on Durham Street, and that could affect my house.
I agree.
And some of the residents that are older people, but it doesn't matter if you're old or young, you don't want that in your basement, and it would be contaminated.
Look, I can only speak for myself, and I try to look at it with a level eye, and I agree that what the people are asking, including yourself, about the insurance plan is important. And if I had to live in that house and I couldn't sleep at night not worrying about it, it would bother me, so I would be asking for the same thing. And I said the same thing at the meeting, and I know Councilman Giaconetti said the same thing at the meeting, and a lot of residents stood up and said something. I can't believe the DEP would ignore that. That's all I can tell you right now.
It just worries me that a company wouldn't say, okay,
remember,
we're so sure this
let's take
is
the
going to
company out
work.
of this. The company has, and we all understand how that works, but the company has no say in this. It's the DEP and the EPA that have say. They can tell them to jump in circles, and they're going to have to do it.
But how many times has that same company said, we want to help Pompton, we want to help the residents, we're here for you?
Well, I haven't heard that.
Well, they have in the past. Hey, they give a lot to our town,
Yeah, they could give more.
but they could do more. I'm worried about the houses that would be affected, so I hope,
We have time. Let's see where this goes.
All right.
Yeah, we'll
okay.
see.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Anyone else from the public like to address? Could I ask our OEM director just to give us an update on the Saturday testings?
What testing?
The testing. Just because I still have some calls. I had a resident call me yesterday who doesn't have a computer and was concerned about how they could register.
Good afternoon, or good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We had progress. We, as I told you at the last meeting, had up to 400 signups. And since then, Sharon just told me earlier this evening that we've had a tremendous amount more. I did go to the senior meeting the other day and sign them up on paper and put them back, and Sharon has entered them. We now have the list of the 104 residents of the senior housing, which we're going to enter as a building. This way, if we have to notify just that building, we can do it as a group, or we can do it townwide. And we've had a number of other people come in and request the paper, sign up.
So the process is, if they don't have a computer...
If they don't have a computer, or they're not good with the programs and doing it online, they can come in, and we have a form that we printed up. It's in the library, it's in the Borough Hall and the police station. And they can just fill that out. All we need is their name, address, and their phone numbers, and Sharon will enter that data, and we'll be in the system. We're going to do 3 more tests at 4 p.m. on Saturday. And I know this past Saturday, we had 3 tests.
I had a lot of testing going on.
Because we were learning the system. So we had one about 9:30. We had another one at 4 that said the car show was on, and then we had one that said the car show was postponed. And unfortunately, the one that said it was on is still in the queue. I removed it from the from the file, but it was still in the queue, and it got sent out. But we followed it up.
So that's why we have testing. That's
So
why
now
we're
we have
practicing.
everything down to a science.
Okay, so my question would be, and I'm going to let the council have some questions, would be if they are concerned about doing it on a computer, they could come here, fill out a
Or
form.
call, they could call Sharon.
Or they can call on phone.
616-5916.
Okay.
Is the number, and they'll get her directly. If she doesn't answer, they can leave a message.
Okay, that's
We
good.
just need name, address, phone number, and we need the address again, because if it's GPS specific to a certain section of town, we need to know where they live in. But we've got a nice sign up now. We've got a lot of cooperation from the residents. I'm watching Facebook. I haven't seen a lot of complaints on there, so that's good. The enrollment's going up, the complaints are going down. I think that's the direction we want to go. 973-616-5916. That's the Police Department Records Bureau. Ask for Sharon, and she will put that data into the system.
Councilman Bay, that's a question.
Yes, sir.
Yes, and I presume the reason that the senior citizens complex is a district is because it will help address the problem we found when we had the drill.
Yes, absolutely. It will surely address that issue. And the issue that Councilman Bay is referring to is we had no way of notifying the whole building at once. We did it via bullhorn in the hallways, we knocked on doors, but now we'll just be able to put a message into this system, send it out to 100 people, and they'll all get it at the same time. And it will be an excellent way of notifying that building. Even if it's just an internal building problem, we could do that for them. I know the MUA's been up here, they've been working with Sharon, so they should be on board, and we're good to go, hopefully.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Any questions? We're good? Thank you for the update.
Real quick, Al,
Oh, there's a question.
no, there's no question. Al, thank you and Sharon for your hard work on getting this.
And thank you for your support as well, because you had a lot to do with helping us out there with a couple things, so we do appreciate that.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have anyone else from the public? Can I have a motion to close the public session?
So moved.
Councilman Devine, Councilman Venin. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Privilege of the floor. Anybody have privilege of the floor?
Yeah, Mayor, real quick.
Yes.
I just wanted to piggyback what one of the residents brought up. Again, same thing. At the meeting, a couple weeks ago with the DEP, I got up, spoke on it, all right? At the council meeting the next day we had, spoke up again, myself and the mayor again. Last night at the debate, spoke up again, said it again. Tonight, saying it again. Want to make sure the residents are protected. What I've done, as your representative, and you should do, call my 40th legislative district, spoke to them, called them. Called my Freelandheisen, congressman. Then I called Senator Booker, Senator Menendez. They're our representatives. I'm your representative, they're your representatives too. Everybody's on the same page and puts pressure on them. Hopefully, like the mayor said, something will happen. Maybe they'll approve that, they'll force DuPont to do that. But again, we'll see
It's a
what
good
happens.
point. It's a numbers game, and they need to see numbers.
Yeah.
So the more calls you make, the better it is.
Thank you.
Okay, any other privilege?
No.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Yeah.